Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time that you will be listening to Stiletto Talks podcast. My name is Paula Hutchinson, and of course, I am always your host. If you have not subscribed to Stiletto Talks podcast, you need to do so, especially if you are a woman in business. This is the place to be. We share a lot of vulnerability. We share a lot of encouragement. We share a lot of ideas. So make sure you do that. We're also available on Stiletto, on my apologies. We are also on iTunes as well as Google Play. So make sure you check that out. I want to kind of talk about an event that happened over this past weekend. Um, I had an event in Tempe, Arizona, and it was called Stiletto Talks Valley. And we had women. Normally, I have minority women that look like me, so normally I only have black women there. However, this time we had a variety of ethnicities there. And when I tell you, the room was filled with so much positivity, so much love. The panelists were amazing. We ate good, we laughed good, and then we shared truths about our culture. And I wanted to kind of get on here this morning and kind of talk to you briefly about the benefits of sisterhood. And I'm not always talking about someone that looks like you, but someone that doesn't look like you. Because when you place yourself in an atmosphere of sharing ideas and creating safe spaces, which is what I do, I create collaborative safe spaces for women to share and to be empowered. There are some awesome things that come out of that. So I want to kind of talk to you about some things that happened. Number one, we became united. You saw women that were kind of standoffish at first. Certain ethnic groups would stand in this corner, the others would stand in the other corner. By the end of the day, everybody was hugging, passing out their business cards, exchanging telephone numbers. You see phones out, you see selfies being taken, you see the hashtag flying all across social media. That is what coming together to women empowerment events should do. Now, I know I see a lot of topics that say, oh, mean girls shouldn't have events. Well, all mean girls don't always have events. And so when there are women that are out there creating platforms or atmospheres, you definitely need to come out and support. Because that's the first thing I saw. I saw consistent smiling, a couple of tears here and there because they have been hurt by other women. But I have seen just what I saw this past weekend was just simply amazing. It's like I said, number one, coming together unites us as a common core of women. We have the same anatomy, women. Next, it feels good to say the word sister. When you are at work, you have to call somebody by their proper name. When you're at the doctor's office, they call you by your proper name. When you're at home, they may call you by the title of by your proper name or mom or, aunt or T, whatever the case may be. But it feels good to hear the word sister. Sister goes to show a bonding word. It's a true bonding word. So to hear the word sister coming from a genuine place now, a genuine place. Everybody say it, it's not your sister. But from a genuine place, it feels good. So that gives you those positive endorphins and that positive adrenaline. So it feels good to hear it. Next, we can be vulnerable and uplift one another. We shared about our mental health struggles. We shared about feeling like we have to do everything for everybody. We feel like we have to be everything to everybody. We've talked about how we have really no time in the day to accomplish our dreams and how frustrating that is. And then the uplifting part was we came up with ideas. People were willing to share some things that they've had to let go of and the process that they went through to choose themselves. And I just challenge you as a little call to action in the middle of this. Take it today. Get just a plain sheet of paper. You don't have to go get no perfect journal or nothing. Divide it in half. Write down all of the things you do in a day from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed on one side. When you look at it, look at the other things on the other side of paper, and I want you to write down the things that you can eliminate. You're going to find that often it is some of the most minute things that are keeping you. They are major blockers that are stopping you from being able to progress, and it's mentally taxing when it happens day after day after day. So you have to reverse that and create a level of positivity that's happening day after day after day, and a level of accomplishment so that you can feel better about yourself, and that builds that muscle so that you can go to the next level, because you're going to need some good muscles to go to the next level, because that is also a struggle. So the next thing I want to talk about is that it feels good to hear things that are positive and to say things that are positive about one another. What I found, the women were facing each other. And facing is an acronym for find, acknowledge, celebrate, and enjoy. And so I discovered that the women were actually sharing with others the things they like. And a lot of women cannot take a compliment. That's going to be a whole nother subject one day, about not being able to take a compliment. And even myself, I've probably learned how to take a compliment in the last 2 years. 45 years of living, probably the last 2 years, of just being able to say thank you. I would normally deflect it. Oh, it's because of all of you. Oh, it's because of this, when, oh, I appreciate it. And kind of not take it all in. That's offensive to the person that actually gave you that. Because in other words, they have observed your behavior and they've given you your gold star. So you need to learn how to accept that people have something good to say about you. And I think especially as minority women, we often struggle with fighting this one and fighting this entity and fighting that entity and fighting that one. So when somebody tells you something good, it's like, what? You said what now? And so you find it hard to just say the simple thing, thank you, and then give a compliment back, because some people also don't know how to give a compliment. It is not going to hurt you. I promise you, your teeth are not going to fall out. Your ears are not going to fall off. Just give the doggone compliment. You know they deserve it. Even if that's not your partner, it's okay to tell them that, you all may not always see eye to eye, but she did that. She did that. And that helps sometimes to break down some of the barriers, because often a lot of us have fallen out over something superficial, either a lack of unidentified respect that should have been there, something maybe that should have been automatic that was there and it wasn't respected. And then sometimes some people don't know they need to respect space, and you have to remember to be the type of supporter to someone that you want them to be to you. If you are not doing that, then you shouldn't be looking for a handout when you're somebody that's not willing to give it to other people. So I know it feels good sometimes to receive, but make sure you're the person that's also giving as well. Is nothing wrong with doing that. And one thing that we talked about is that we can learn from one another, right? So we learned, like I said again, about prepping meals. We learned about protecting our space. We learned that it's okay that we don't have to answer every phone call. You don't have to try to put out every fire. You don't have to be at every event. You can tell people no. Even your relatives, your people in the workplace, people wanting you to be somewhere like at church or something. Sometimes it's okay to respectfully decline. You're not available. If you really are writing down your calendar, like I said, you don't have to be all techie. I'm old school. I was out long before these devices. So I tend to write a lot of things down. If it's not in my schedule, it's not possible. And being in the valley, everything is at least 40 minutes apart, 30 to 40 minutes apart. So just the commute, you may not be available. So stop trying to rush yourself and make yourself feel like, oh, I have to be here. I have to do this. Number one, you're building a level of anxiety and a level of unrealistic expectation that you will not meet. And when you do that, you feel so mentally defeated. And who's going to be there with you while you crying in the tub and playing your favorite songs that make you feel further depressed? And you're feeling like I can't accomplish something. Sometimes we need to learn how to set ourselves up to win. How do we do that? Making sure we're respectful of our own time, of our own schedule, of our own space. Something else we learn is how to be self-aware. When you get a few birthdays under your belt, it's just certain things you just don't like. And that's okay. There's certain things you don't like. For me, money comes and goes, but I'm really not a fan of people that waste my time. That is very offensive to me. So it's offensive to me for you to call me out, let's say to a meeting or something. You're not going to follow the agenda. It's flying all over the place. Insults are being hurled at each other, something like that. Or the meeting is really like off track, if you will. For me, that is a disrespect. And anybody that knows me and have seen me when I come out of a meeting like that, when I say I need at least a 2 hour of fussing to decompress. So I had to learn how to get better at that and say, you know what? That's my fault because I knew this was going to be the atmosphere for that. And so from now on, I'll respectfully decline to protect my space and protect my growth and protect my peace. I'm valuable. I'm more valuable than going somewhere running my blood pressure up. So these are some of the things that we learned. Next, a lot of the women said they feel like Superwoman. Superwoman is a character, and it was a very good show. Of course, I'm old enough to remember when it came out, the original. I mean, but at the end of the day, you're not Superwoman. And we tag on to these catchy phrases and we want to be those things. Sometimes it's not good to be those things. You can do it maybe up to a certain point, but even Superwoman had rest when she wasn't in action. She was in her regular outfit. In other words, I'm not at work today. I'm not available. Sometimes we make ourselves overly available and then we get mad when people keep calling us. Well, that's because you are always available. You the one that always got time. And that's how people start to disrespect you. And sometimes we have invited or opened the door for that disrespect by always being available. We should all feel privileged to be in one another's company. And that's not saying that you need to act like you more than the other person, but know that your time is valuable and only you know what you have going on from day to day. So make sure that you honor your time. If you don't honor and respect your time, respect your place on this planet, respect your gifts, your gifting, what you give and what you are able to receive, then you surely cannot expect someone else to do it. And I have found you don't have to keep making no declarations for it. You don't have to keep getting on social media about it. Of course, some of the memes are cute and sometimes we do it, just out of fun because you just have to give that daily reminder like, please don't try me today. Sometimes some people need the announcement. But at the same time, your walk is what's going to stop them from doing it. Your habits are going to stop them from doing it. Oh, well, let me call her first and let me make sure because she may not be available. Sounds better than, oh, she's always available, girl. Just go ahead and call her. She going to do it anyway because she like attention. And so you see those sound like two different things, right? So make sure that you put yourself in a place where you don't have to feel like Superwoman. That is what is damaging our health. And I talked about on the panel as I hosted this event and I actually hosted this panel. Some things that I personally see is that not only is our physical health being attacked by trying to do everything and be everything to everybody and everyone. Now our mental health is being attacked. You see more women that cannot sleep. They don't have any peace. They lash out at people for the smallest of things. They're lashing out at their children for the smallest of things. They are destroying their relationships. They are destroying their 20-year friendships. Now y'all been able to get over when you turn my hair green. You've been able to when you burn my hair out before we went to the club. Now all of a sudden y'all can't get past a simple social media post. That is mental issues. And that is because of how we deal with each other because we don't connect enough. And we have to change the narrative, women. We have to be able to do this because if you're broken, and of course, a lot of times I speak to female business owners or those that want to diversify their portfolio by having a job and a business. How can you be in business and broken? You're mentally broken because keep in mind, when you're doing business with the public. And if they come at you with one of your triggers, you're going to fire back instead of dealing with the issue that may be at hand that's pertaining to the goods or services. For those of you who are not in business and just listening as a woman who is just a consumer, you have to keep in mind if you're always in a crazy space, you can't deal with anybody because when something is wrong or something needs to be corrected, you come at somebody bad and you just don't know. You may be that person that causes that person to say, you know what, I can't be in business. You don't want to be that person that's hurling stones at everybody. Sometimes some stones you do it to defeat mental giants, but then often we are so mentally, emotionally abused, we physically tired. And if you've ever seen a baby that's grumpy, they be flinging their arms everywhere, they be bamming their head and rubbing their nose and just flying all over the place. And then they just finally fall asleep out of just pure exhaustion. That is what we are starting to look like in our high heels, in our lipstick, in our pretty hair. This is what we look like. And so we have to change that narrative. How do we do that? Getting in safe spaces and actually talking these things out. And the last thing that we talked about is therapy. So we had a therapist on the panel, Dr. Marilyn Wiley, super awesome panelist. And we actually had just some awesome women on there. We had Angelia Hill, who helps businesses grow. And then we had Kim Dartez, who is a minority-owned business in construction, and she has several other platforms. And then of course myself with Second to None Hair Care Systems, and then with my own consulting firm. And when we talked, we all talked about our mental health, mental space. Most of us, for our success, choose therapy. It's okay to have a therapist. A therapist is better than posting all of your emotions on Facebook. Why is that? Because when you post things on social media, people screenshot you and then they start talking about you. Girl, she having a bad day. And then you wondering like, why all these people calling you? Because you probably forgot you even posted that. You're a walking, living, breathing firestorm. And I find that when it comes to emotions, most people are illiterate in how to express I'm tired, to express that I am not available for this anymore, or I have allowed this in the past, but today, as of today, or as of yesterday, or as of this moment, I no longer do that. Because you don't have the language, because you haven't developed it. And so what happens is, because we haven't developed that language for those type of situations, we start flinging our arms around like the baby. You start clapping out your words. Let me tell you one more thing. Oh, you tried it. All of these other things that we do. And then you may be correcting them, but then you're raising your blood pressure up. You're raising your adrenaline level. You're pushing so much cortisol through your heart. And that's how you see people just suddenly die. They suddenly pass out. All of a sudden they have all these ailments. So going to a therapist teaches you how to get to a calm place, how to figure out you. And one thing that Dr. Wiley talked about is that some people don't know themselves. And I often believe, especially once you get in the middle of the road in age, you don't know who you are. You know what you've been through, but you don't know what the future looks like. So now you have a few years of experience of being grown. You know how you want to plan your future. So your future should look much brighter because you have the experience of being young and going through all those things and coming out of that. And now you're at a particular age now where you're going forward. So make sure, again, you get to these women empowerment events. Most of them are based on positivity, but make sure you're in a place where even if nobody goes with you, if your friends renege on you and cancel, go anyway. I have now a phone full of numbers because I am, of course, in a new place. And now I find that I have new friends. I'm actually going out to happy hour on Thursday. My calendar is booked myself, just because you're being in the room. So if you don't come out of your house, if you don't come out of your shell, if you don't come from behind your calendar, a lot of people now are working from home. So some people are losing actually their social skills because they don't do anything else. It's cool to be an introvert, but sometimes once you exercise that extrovert muscle and actually come out, because if you don't, it's very difficult to just all of a sudden hop in it. You may need beginning stage. So start small. And a small way to do that is at those small empowerment groups, as opposed to being in these massive conventions and things of that nature. Start small. So I hope you've learned something today about sisterhood. It is a privilege and an honor for someone to call you their sister. It is a privilege and an honor for someone to also feel that in their heart. It's also a privilege for someone to care about your well-being. And just because that's not your blood sister, you all don't maybe come from different areas. We all have the kinship of being in this body, being in our anatomy makeups, or whatever our anatomy choices are, our identifiers, and living these lives as women and experiencing all that we experience in a day. And one thing about women, we're supposed to have peace. And we have to find a way to get our peace back, to get our instructional level back, because women are usually the first givers of instruction, right? To babies, to their nieces, to their nephews. Everybody go rabble around the women. If we're constantly pouring out and nobody has poured into you, then you are an empty vessel moving around. I don't care how much lipstick you got on. Your hair might be popping. Your body might be banging. Your shoes may be rolling. But at the end of the day, you're empty. So get in some places that can fill yourself up. So I hope that you have enjoyed what I have to say today. Please share this. Please get other people to subscribe. You can subscribe at stilettotalks.podbean.com. That way it will always pop up when we have a new topic coming up. Also, you can subscribe to iTunes. You can subscribe on Google Play under Stiletto Talks. My name is Paula Hutchinson. If you want to be a part of my blog, and I have a business group that's coming up that I'm going to talk about next month. It's going to be so exciting. I ask that you actually register on my page, subscribe to my website at www.paulajhutchinson.com. So I hope that you have an amazing day. I hope that you've heard something that convicts you to change toward positivity. We need our women here on the planet, and we need each other to survive. I don't care, regardless of what you said, life is better when you have your sisters walking hand in hand with you. So I hope you've heard something well. Have a great day.